Who was shot and killed on the east side last week. However, police are still looking for those who pulled the trigger.
And Governor Greg Abbott could outline a path to reopen Texas today. We're going to tell you what you need to know about his press conference scheduled for this afternoon.
And winds and humidity have picked up today. What about rain chances? We have a few chances ahead. We'll talk about that forecast coming up.
Live from KSAT 12, the news at noon starts right now.
Family problems have become a family tragedy on the city's north side.
San Antonio police say a woman shot and killed her 2 children, her mother, and then herself inside their apartment on Henderson Pass.
As Katrina Weber reports, investigators believe it had to do with a child custody case.
Deep inside the Sedona Ranch apartments, San Antonio police say they found out just how deep a 38-year-old woman's troubles ran. They say she lashed out with a gun, shooting 3 members of her family and herself.
Very recently lost custody of the 2 children and killed both children and her mother and then herself.
Police say the bodies of the woman, her 3-year-old son, 5-year-old daughter, and 68-year-old mother were found in 2 different bedrooms. Officers showed up at the apartment complex on Henderson Pass near Highway 281 just after 8:30 this morning. They say the children's father made the discovery after having no luck reaching them by phone.
The father of the children peered in through a crack in the blinds in the back of the house, or the back of the apartment, saw the bodies.
Before long, the crime scene had attracted the attention of others who live here. Police have been talking to neighbors here to calm their fears and also to get information. They're hoping that someone might be able to help them pinpoint exactly when this happened.
Tragic beyond words. 2 little children, the grandmother, and then the mother.
One family's tragedy is now weighing on the hearts of a community. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
And we now know the name of a teenager who was shot and killed on the east side. The Bexar County Medical Examiner says 16-year-old Larry Jackson died after the shooting last Thursday. Now, police say it happened on Whispering Creek near Argonne Drive. They say 3 people were inside the vehicle when they saw another car parked near them. That's when police say someone got out and started firing. A bullet hit Jackson in the head. At this time, police are still searching for that shooter and the others in the car.
Governor Greg Abbott will hold a press conference this afternoon, and he is expected to announce the plans to start reopening the state of Texas. The governor says he's been receiving guidance from medical advisors on how businesses can reopen safely. Mayor Ron Nirenberg and Judge Nelson Wolff say the city and county are eagerly waiting to hear the governor's plans and how it will impact our area. You can listen to the governor speak right here on KSAT 12 at 2:30 this afternoon.
And state health experts say 4 things must happen before the state should reopen. The first is more rapid testing. Texas is among the states with the fewest tests administered per capita, according to the COVID tracking project. Now, despite the low death toll, experts say those who test positive will need to be isolated. Then the state needs to track down those who came into contact with a positive patient, and they will need to be quarantined for 14 days. Health experts say cases will increase if the state opens before these processes happen, but they do acknowledge the pressure politicians face with a disrupted economy.
If you are looking for some groceries and making a trip to H-E-B today, you have a few extra hours to do all your shopping. The grocery store will announce it'll be extending its hours to 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. starting today. Previously, the supermarket limited its hours from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Most pharmacies will continue to operate from 8 in the morning till 8 at night in their normal weekend hours. H-E-B also announced a new delivery program for seniors or vulnerable shoppers.
Also starting today, VIA will be operating on an essential service schedule. The new schedule is designed to preserve service for those who must travel for work at exempted businesses or operations. Now, several routes will move to their Sunday schedules. Weekday schedules have been changed to accommodate early trips. There will still be a limit of 16 passengers per trip to allow social distancing. You can find the details on the exact changes on our website at ksat.com.
And Mayor Ron Nirenberg not sure if Fiesta will happen in November. He announced his reservations over the annual San Antonio tradition in last night's press conference. Mayor Nirenberg says it's unclear what the next several months will look like because the virus is not being eradicated. Right now, Fiesta is scheduled for November 5th through the 15th. As we said, Texas will soon lay out its plans to reopen, but there are other states who are also starting the process as well.
Some states are trying to mitigate the economic impact while others are waiting because officials don't want to risk more American lives. ABC's Trevor Ault has the latest.
Across America today, thousands of businesses now allowed to reopen their doors weeks after the COVID-19 pandemic forced them to close. In Georgia, the options are growing. First, gyms, nail salons, and barbershops, and today, movie theaters can open along with restaurants with limited dine-in service. States like South Carolina, Oklahoma, and Alaska also slowly opening for business. Today, they'll get more company. Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, Minnesota, Colorado, and Montana all launching limited reopenings.
We have to restore the American way of life, and we need to start doing it now. This cannot be purely a medical decision.
But some are wondering about the cost of reopening. With the U.S. death toll from COVID-19 nearing 55,000, some businesses that can reopen say they're choosing to stay closed.
We don't feel safe. Number one is safety.
And several other states are standing steadfast behind stay-at-home orders. This weekend, Maryland seeing its deadliest day since the outbreak began.
I want to get our economy back opened just as soon as we can, but I want to do so in a safe way.
Also returning to work, some essential employees and first responders who have already battled the virus themselves, like Illinois Sheriff's Deputy Raven Washington.
It was the scariest thing for me returning back to work. I'm like, I don't want to get sick again, but it's like, this is my job, so I had to.
There is still hope that people who have been exposed to the virus will develop antibodies and possibly an immunity to catching the virus a second time, though health officials warn that's still not yet proven. Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
And still ahead on the news at noon, some uplifting news amid the pandemic, getting up and close and personal to some baby hatchlings.
And the Cowboys had a pretty good weekend. We'll have a look back at their draft coming up in a few minutes in sports.
And after the break, how a local upholstery shop is finding new ways to sew together and recover their small business amid the pandemic. Small businesses around Texas are starting to get back to work after non-essential businesses were allowed to reopen in a curbside setup.
Max Massey shows us how European Artisan Upholstery has had to pivot and how they plan to recover their business.
It seemed like a losing battle for Fiona and Lee. The owners of European Artisan Upholstery were feeling the cuts when the pandemic first hit.
Well, we couldn't go to people's houses to pick it up. We couldn't have people coming in here to choose fabrics, and we weren't coming in either. We were staying home for the first few weeks, like the mayor had suggested. So we were really suffering.
The sheer lack of work and lack of income was snipping away at the chance of making it through the stay-home, work-safe order.
We're a small business. We run month to month, basically, and we had another 2 months before we were out of business.
But Fiona and Lee were able to sew their way back into paying the bills by making masks. And when the mask mandate went into effect, their phones started ringing off the hook.
Good morning, this is Fiona. How may I help you?
Fiona and Lee were able to pivot their business model. They started making masks. They've made more than 5,000 already. It's helpful. It is a good effort for our community, but at the end of the day, it's not upholstery.
We'd have to sell, 500 masks for one of these really nice sofas.
In this first phase of reopening the Texas economy, Fiona and Lee can start to taper back to normalcy.
Now that curbside's available, people can drive up with their furnishings. They can put it on the sidewalk. Lee and I will go bring it in, and then we can talk to them at a safe distance on what it is that they want.
But it won't happen with the flip of a switch.
But it'll probably take a while because a lot of our clients are not leaving home. So, it'll take a little bit to... And we'll keep doing the masks to subsidize it in the meantime.
And as they begin to recover their upholstery business, Fiona wants to be as strategic as possible.
We're looking forward to when the state can reopen safely. If it's not safe, we're not going to do it.
Max Massey, KSAT 12 News.
Get outside with Live Cam. What an absolutely gorgeous weekend we had, wasn't it?
Pretty.
Beautiful.
And a nice cool morning, too.
Yeah, it was nice. Humidity's back, though, as it always comes back here in South Texas. We're going to get a little taste of that today. Some gusty winds, too. The aquifer, it keeps going down. It's down a foot today to 667.5. We could really use a good, healthy rain. Still not a lot of that in the forecast, unfortunately. And looking at the pollen count, everything's low. Mold is low, grass, pecan, oak, all in the low category. We're going to talk about some slight rain chances next couple days coming up.
Think back a couple of weeks, you may have seen that one of our photographers and his son found a bird's nest with 5 eggs in it in their backyard.
So with the extra downtime because of the quarantine, they decided to set up a live camera that has been on KSAT.com, and all that patience has paid off.
Yeah, things have happened. KSAT 12's Bill Caldera gives us the first look at a brand new hatchling and an update on their names.
This is a breaking news update. And as you can see behind me, there's a bird nest, and one of the birds has hatched. The egg hatched late Sunday afternoon. We checked the camera feed. You can see the mother bird moving the shell around. The baby bird has big black eyes and doesn't have any feathers. We also saw the parents bringing food to the hatchling. The last name of the eggs are Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, and Jeff. Fred. I got that wrong. To see the live bird cam, go to KSAT.com and look for the KSAT Kids section. I'm William Collier in my backyard, KSAT 12 News.
Awesome job, William.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and Jeff.
No, Craig. He was like, Craig.
Oh, that is so fun.
We love it.
And we got to see a little hatchling.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All the
Good
patience
job.
do pay off. Yeah, thank you, William, for that live report.
Oh, that is so cool. So cool. Well, okay, so we're watching nature, right? And we're also watching the oak counts. Good news in that regard. We are on the downside of this. We're basically done, guys, with oak season. We look at it now. We're at 10 today. I think we can say goodbye to oak season. It's been not such a good one this year, so I think we're all kind of happy to say goodbye to it. But there you go. We are over the peak and basically done. Let's go outside for you. We've got a few clouds, a lot more moisture out there. 80 degrees right now here in San Antonio. 61 is the dew point. That number on the rise with southerly winds at 18 miles per hour. Winds are going to be gusty today. We're already seeing gusts up over 20 miles per hour. We've got some passing high clouds over top of us, but that's really about it. 78 at Randolph, 80 Seguin, 83 right now in New Braunfels, 73 up there at Bernie Stage, 84 Cotulla, 84 in Carrizo Springs, one of the warmer spots. Victoria checking in at 86. There's a look at the winds, and they're gusty everywhere. We're seeing gusts now over 20 miles per hour just about every spot here in South Texas. So those winds are going to stay breezy through the evening time. And they're going to be the southeasterly winds that bring in all that the Gulf moisture. So the dew points are jumping into the 60s, not into the 70s yet. So it's not just horrible, but we'll be there tomorrow morning. We'll see those dew points reach into the low 70s by early tomorrow. High temperatures today, 88 here in San Antonio. I do think we'll see some 90s on the map as you get down towards Carrizo Springs and Eagle Pass. Here's the big picture. We got one storm system passing to our north. That's producing showers and storms from the Chicago area all the way down St. Louis, Memphis, and back into eastern parts of Oklahoma. Our next storm system that we'll be watching way up there, area of low pressure in the Pacific Northwest. This is going to drag a front through Wednesday morning. I don't think it's going to produce a lot of rain for us. We're still missing out on a lot of the energy, but there is a chance that we could see a couple storms, and we'll have to watch for the potential of a couple strong storms, as we often do this time of year. So here's what the futurecast looks like tonight. There could be a storm or two out west, maybe developing out in West Texas, maybe developing in the mountains of Mexico. Sometimes these can make it all the way to places like Del Rio and Eagle Pass. We'll keep an eye on that most of the time too. These die down when sunset goes away, and that's what the computer model, or when sunset happens, they go away, and that's what the computer model is showing. As we get into tomorrow, we'll probably start off with some cloud cover, some drizzle, and then tomorrow afternoon it does show a couple of more isolated showers and storms. I think the potential for rain tomorrow is low end, 20% or less. But as we get into Wednesday morning specifically, we got a frontal boundary coming in here. That's what we were talking about. And it does want to produce some showers and storms. I think the bulk of it's probably going to be east of us, but there is a chance we could see some rain. Right now, a 30% chance. That's about all we can give you. And then once the front moves through, we'll get some drier air once again. As far as severe weather goes, there is a slight risk as you get out into far west Texas, but most of us out of that risk. Maybe parts of Alverde County in the marginal risk for a couple of storms this afternoon, as we showed you. And then as we get into Tuesday night and Wednesday, we're in the marginal risk here in San Antonio. The better chance for severe weather is going to be off to our east and northeast. Forecast for today, 88 degrees, breezy, southerly winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. And then tomorrow we'll go 90, 20% chance of rain, 86 on Wednesday, 30% chance mainly in the morning, and then 88 Thursday, 90 Friday, maybe a few more clouds by the weekend. But we're starting to see more 90s each and every day here in the 7-day forecast. It is happening. We're going into May, and you would expect it.
I see it. Yeah, they're creeping up on us.
Yep.
As they normally do.
So Wednesday, reporter Bill should be paying attention to that nest and make sure it's okay if there get some heavy rain on it. Right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, the camera will be on.
Coming up, we're going to look back at the Cowboys draft. They did pretty good. And we'll take a look at the Texans draft. They got to sit around and do nothing through the first round. But then they went to work.
Pro football coverage powered by Davis Law Firm.
It was a pretty good weekend for the Dallas Cowboys. Those who follow the draft closely are giving the Cowboys some pretty high marks for their draft picks, and that includes what many people are considering the steal of the draft. The Cowboys also filled some holes in their defense that were left by free agency. Dallas got off to a great start Thursday with Oklahoma wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys used their first pick to grab him after he fell all the way down to 17. Lamb had been projected to go in the top 12, and the Cowboys did not hesitate to add the speedy wide receiver for quarterback Dak Prescott. Lamb finished with 1,000 yards receiving in each of his last 2 seasons for the Sooners. He now gets to team up with Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup. He's already said he will wear number 10 this season, and now he says he's excited to help out Dak.
He's definitely going to get an ultimate competitor, a guy that's willing to learn and can't wait to get used to, helping him and just helping him look like a better quarterback and he's helping me look like a better receiver. So
we couldn't trump him. And boy, he was just there. He's a football player. He's a playmaker, and he just earned it.
As the draft proceeded, the Cowboys got back on script, filling holes in their defense left by free agency. They picked cornerback Trevon Diggs out of Alabama in the second round, who had his first pick 6 of his career last year. That was an 84-yard reception return for a touchdown against Arkansas. Then in the third round, the Cowboys snagged defensive tackle Neville Gilmore out of Oklahoma. And in an attempt to fill the void left by the unexpected retirement of Travis Frederick, the Cowboys traded with the Eagles to move up to the 4th round to get center Tyler Bedzes of Wisconsin. And here's new head coach Mike McCarthy on the draft.
You talk about our history and tradition of offensive line play in Dallas, and he comes from an excellent program in college here in Wisconsin. And as far as running the show, making the calls, plays with great power. You can see it in the angles and his ability that he's a natural center. So that's why the importance of going up and getting him there at the end of the 4th round was awesome.
Right, so here's a recap of all the picks the Cowboys had in the NFL draft. Round by round, they selected in defensive Bradley Anae from Utah. They took quarterback Ben DiNucci from James Madison to round out the draft. They said he'll be a really good fit with their quarterback group that they have there right now. So that was a good weekend for the Cowboys. After trading away their first round pick to land offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil last year, the Houston Texans did not have a pick until the 2nd round this year. It also marked the first draft for Bill O'Brien as the team's new general manager as well as head coach. O'Brien decided defense was his biggest need. He drafted that way, selecting TCU defensive tackle Ross Blacklock in the 2nd round at number 40 overall. The Texans trying to fill the void left by DJ Reader, who left Houston for Cincinnati during free agency. Houston used their 3rd pick for outside linebacker Jonathan Grenard, who led the Southeast Conference with 10 sacks last season for the Florida Gators. Both of these guys excited to play alongside J.J. Watt.
To be a part of this perfect organization and be with him, and guys like Whitney Merciless as well. Those are the guys that I definitely will soak up a lot of knowledge and wisdom. He's an idol of mine. I'll try to mirror my game after his, so it's going to be surreal just being able to play next to a legend like that. And I'm beyond excited to be able to come back home and play for my hometown and just to be able to do good things for the city and play great football. And, I'm just excited.
And of course, you remember the Texans traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals. The Texans could use some help in the draft at that wide receiver position since that trade. So O'Brien had already signed Randall Cobb in free agency and traded for the Rams' Brandon Cooks, but wanted one more player to fill out the receiving corps. He used that 5th-round pick to select Isaiah Coulter out of Rhode Island. So here, a look at all the picks for the Houston Texans. They also picked up offensive lineman Charlie Heck from North Carolina. He's a big fella, too. And cornerback John Reed from Penn State.
Defensive ends out.
And a big congratulations to Justin Rocket Alton Robinson. The Seattle Seahawks picked him in the 5th round of the draft Saturday. Robinson played with Syracuse the last 3 years. He's the second Justin Rocket drafted by Seattle since Trey Flowers was selected in the 5th round back in 2018. Here's a look at some of the local guys who got drafted. Terrence Steele out of Steele. He signed a free agent deal with the Cowboys, the Ravens, Deshaun Dixon out of Taft, Broncos, Hunter Watts out of Marshall, Rams, Eric Banks, UTSA, and the Chargers, Joshua Dunlap, also out of UTSA. So some young fellas got some chances to make their mark in the NFL.
Yeah, congratulations. A lot of talent in San Antonio.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Hey, coming up in our next half hour, why some Republicans think President Donald Trump's responses to the media may hurt him in the 2020 election.
And still ahead, why one popular band's newest album is said to be born out of adversity.
Questions are rising about the usefulness of daily White House coronavirus briefings. President Donald Trump angry over the media coverage after he asked task force members last week if injecting people with disinfectants could be a treatment for COVID-19.
And now some Republicans in Congress are worried his statements may hurt their re-election chances. ABC's Alex Brashaw has more from Washington.
A drastically different approach for President Trump at his most recent White House briefing. No questions, no back and forth with reporters, accustomed to 2-hour-long briefings. The president now says those White House news conferences are not worth the time and effort, blaming the media for what he calls hostile questions.
Just more fake news, John.
The president has had his fair share of clashes with reporters, but he's also facing pushback from his own party. Worries rising that these long, drawn-out briefings may do more harm than good.
I think an hour and a half or 2 hours of anybody every day is not going to be great for their political standing, no matter who they are and what they do.
Now, there's concern the briefings could be hurting Republicans' chances in November. A new report in the New York Times says senior GOP officials worry inaccurate, even dangerous statements made by the president at these briefings could cost them seats. ABC also reporting on internal discussions urging President Trump to focus more on the economy and the post-pandemic recovery. Late last week, after his administration unveiled new research showing the effectiveness of sunlight and disinfectants in killing the virus on surfaces and in the air, the president wondered out loud.
And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning?
President Trump later claiming he was being sarcastic, but officials and companies felt obligated to issue warnings not to ingest disinfectants. Across the country, some poison control centers reporting a rise in calls about household cleaners fighting the virus.
I think the president made it clear that physicians had to study this. I think I've made it clear that this was amusing.
Even some Republican governors asking the president to keep to the facts.
The president's got to focus on the message, stick to a message, and make sure that these press conferences are fact-based.
The White House press secretary says there will be no briefing today, but there will be future briefings at which President Trump will be present. Also, yesterday marked 2 months since the president said there were just 15 cases and that would soon be down to 0. According to Johns Hopkins University, U.S. confirmed cases are closing in on 1 million, 55,000 of those fatal. Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
The death toll from the mass shooting at a Walmart in El Paso that happened 9 months ago is now up to 23. Guillermo Garcia, the last remaining patient, died at Del Sol Medical Center in El Paso Saturday evening. Now, Garcia was hit in the spine and had undergone multiple surgeries over the past several months. His wife, Jessica Garcia, was also shot but was released after being hospitalized. The suspect is facing capital murder charges. The Garcia family is part of a civil lawsuit against Walmart for not providing adequate security.
A lawsuit that determines voting rights for former felons in Florida going to court today. The case challenges a Florida law that requires felons to pay off court fines and fees before they can cast a ballot. The American Civil Liberties Union says the law is unconstitutional because it amounts to a poll tax. Republicans who passed the state law say they want to be sure felons pay off all their legal obligations before voting. That includes fines, fees, and restitution to victims of crime.
WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange's extradition hearing from Britain to the U.S. is being delayed by the coronavirus pandemic. It was set for May 18th. Assange's lawyer said trial preparations have been greatly hampered by a ban on visitors at the prison during the coronavirus lockdown. He said if things moved forward, Assange would, quote, be facing a David and Goliath battle with his hands behind his back, end quote. Assange is wanted for conspiring with U.S. military intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning to expose classified information back in 2010. He was granted political asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in London back in 2012, but was arrested in London in April of 2019.
Outside with live cam, it was an absolutely gorgeous weekend. Looks like a pretty gorgeous day, except the humidity's back. A little sticky.
Yep, humidity is back. The wind is kicking up some. You know, over the weekend, it was beautiful, but we had some interesting weather Saturday morning. Some storms popped up. It was sort of perplexing how it all worked out. This is going to be one of those situations where we go back and study and see what happened. But I think it caught all of us meteorologists sort of off guard Saturday morning. We saw some of the pictures, some of the hail that came down. It was really more hail than rain in some spots east of San Antonio, but really pretty fascinating, interesting setup. And you see the clouds there. It made some very cool looking clouds. It didn't last very long. It was out of here. We saw sunny skies. But if you want to read more on it, we're researching it some more. And Sarah Spivey wrote a great article on KSAT.com in the weather section if you want to check it out. Meantime, 56 degrees this morning, 60 in Gonzales, 61 in San Antonio. It was a cool morning. This was the last of the cool mornings, at least for a couple days, because that humidity has surged back in. And we're going to see a pretty warm afternoon. 80 degrees right now at the airport, 81 Randolph's, 83 in New Braunfels, 75 Canyon Lake, 80 in Bandera. And the forecast for today takes us up to about 88 for a high, partly cloudy. And then we'll see partly cloudy conditions going into tonight with clouds building. And I think tomorrow morning we'll start off with some fog, maybe some drizzle. There are a few rain chances next couple of days. Not great rain chances, but rain chances nonetheless. We're going to talk about that potential and look ahead through the rest of the work week coming up in just a few minutes. David?
Thank you, Justin. Boeing could be even in bigger trouble these days as it faces possible legal action for wrongful termination of a business deal. Boeing terminated a $4.2 billion deal with Brazilian company Embraer. The deal would have given the American aircraft maker a bigger stake in the market for smaller jets. Analysts believe it would have also helped Boeing develop new airplanes more cost effectively. Now the Brazilian company says it will take Boeing to court.
And the SpaceX Starship passed another key test on Sunday night. It's called the cryogenic test, and it proves that the Starship can withstand high pressure. Elon Musk tweeted that the next step will be an engine test later this week. Previous prototypes have not had success passing the pressurized test. The ultimate goal of the program is to build a human settlement on Mars.
So are you feeling bored under quarantine? Here are some creative ways to pass the time at home. ABC's Inez De La Catera has them for you.
Social distancing has disrupted our daily routines. Although we must limit face-to-face contact with people outside our household, cancel events, and work from home, we can still find ways to have fun at home. If you're not particularly great in the kitchen, now's the time to work on those cooking skills. Social media is a great tool to not only connect with others, but also learn new skills. For example, there are Instagram accounts where you can learn about how to make pasta from scratch or explore new recipes. You can also check out live broadcasts of daily workout and dance classes. It's a great way to get active when you're home, and the live broadcasts help you stay motivated because you know other people are also partaking in the class. Museums are also offering virtual tours, and musicians are live streaming concerts from their home. Instead of feeling confined to your living room, be creative and use the resources online to enrich your mind and learn about the things that otherwise you wouldn't have the time to do. Use this time at home to also connect with your family members or reconnect with old friends over the phone or online. Most importantly, focusing on being grateful, whether it's your job or your health, can be a great way to add some perspective and stay positive during this pandemic. With this Medical Minute, I'm Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News.
One popular band member describes the meaning behind their new album. Still ahead, why the singer of AWOL Nation hopes people use the new album as an escape from reality.
And the NBA could slowly be getting back to business in some cities. Does that include the Spurs? More coming up in sports.
In your Spotlight News, actress Julie Andrews is starting a podcast. It's called Julie's Library and will be hosted by the entertainment legend and her daughter, Emma Walton Hamilton. Now, they'll read and discuss their favorite children's books. Julie's Library launches this Wednesday, April 29th.
Even in self-isolation, new kids on the block are throwing a house party. With Boys to Men, Big Frida, Jordan Sparks, Naughty by Nature, and other special guests. All net proceeds from the song downloads and merchandise will benefit No Kid Hungry. It's an organization that provides healthy meals to vulnerable children during these hard times.
And AWOL Nation scored their first hit in 2011 with the song Sail. Singer and founding member Aaron Bruno talked with CNN's Rick Damigella about the group's new album being born from the ashes of a wildfire and released during a pandemic. And AWOL Nation's Angel Miners and the Lightning Riders is out now on digital platforms, compact disc, and vinyl.
Did he say record?
Yeah,
He
vinyl
used the
too.
word record? Coming out on vinyl?
They're still out there.
Wow, I like that.
Still have my record player.
Throwback.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, they're as popular as ever right now.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, we're up to 80 degrees so far today. 61 was the low this morning, so that's right about on average. We'll be maybe a little bit above average this afternoon. Records are 99 and 46, not in jeopardy. No rainfall. There is some hope for at least a little bit. Some of us could get some rain next couple of days. We'll talk about it coming up.
We were lucky with the beautiful weather.
Yeah, it was nice over the weekend. Had that weird thing happen in Saturday
that's
morning
right.
with some hail here and there. Some people even were out on the roads and got smacked with
Yeah.
it. But I don't know what that was all about.
So we had some nice weather and some interesting weather.
Yeah, like I
going
said,
on there?
It's something that we're going to have to study. It looks like a little piece of energy that the computer models never caught somewhere up in the atmosphere. It's cold enough, and these storms developed really quickly, and as quickly as they developed, they went away. But it did drop some hail, and like I said, it's something we'll probably go back and study and learn from. But otherwise, it was a good weekend, and we've got a few clouds out there right now. Some thin high clouds that are working across the sky. And temperatures sitting at 80 degrees at the airport. 81 Randolph, 83 New Braunfels, 80 in Seguin, 79 out there in Hondo. Warming up pretty nicely. Several places reporting temperatures in the 80s now. The only places with 70s on the map, you got to go up into the hill country for that. There is a little bit of morning cloudiness holding on there just west of Uvalde. Here's a look at the time lapse. Sunrise was really good this morning. There you go. A lot of good colors. We got a lot of pictures in on our KSAT Connect. 80 degrees right now. Dew point is at 61. You can see some of the clouds that tried to develop earlier, but right now I'd say we're looking at mostly sunny skies. Now, one thing we are dealing with are the gusty winds today out of the south and southeast. They're really starting to pick up. And we're going to get gusts, I'd say, up over 25 miles per hour through the afternoon, so be aware of that. And it's also bringing in all the Gulf moisture. We started off nice this morning. Temperatures were in the low 60s. We had dew points in the 50s. Now all these dew points are in the 60s. And let's go forward in time here. And as we get into tomorrow morning, dew points in the 70s. It'll be in the oppressive category. Thankfully, we do have a frontal boundary that will head our way Wednesday. Should take some of this moisture with it. And you can see it there as we get into Wednesday. Dew points drop back into the 50s and 60s and push all those 70-degree dew points back down to the south. Here's the setup across the state, and not much to look at. We've got some showers up there around Dallas, parts of Oklahoma, but that is a passing storm system and shouldn't do too much for us here in the Lone Star State. But as we get up to the north and west, there is a frontal boundary up there. This is the one that's going to be sliding through on Wednesday morning. Should bring with it some chances of rain. It's not going to bring in cool air or anything like that, but just some drier air and give us that chance for a thunderstorm or two. So first things first, we're going to talk about tonight, because we do have the chance for a couple storms out west, and I think these would develop out in far west Texas or maybe the mountains of Mexico, and they could work their way towards Del Rio say by 10 o'clock. By then, these storms are probably weakening, but there could be a couple strong storms out there, so we'll have to watch it. Tomorrow morning, maybe some drizzle, some fog here around San Antonio, and then by the afternoon, we go partly cloudy. There could be a couple of pop-up showers or storms, and then Wednesday morning, that's when that front starts to arrive, and that may kick up more showers and storms, although it looks like the bulk of the energy is going to be off to our east. So I'd say I-35 into the east is where the best chance of rain will be. And then once that slides through, we'll get the northerly wind and things will dry out some. Right now, we have it at about a 30% chance of rain here in San Antonio. It's not a great chance. There is that risk of a few strong storms out west today. And then as we get into tomorrow, specifically tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, there's a marginal risk across Bexar County. Really, the better chance for severe weather is going to be off to our north and east. So by and large, we're missing out on a lot of this and missing out on a lot of the energy. 88 degrees today, breezy. Southerly winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. And then 90 tomorrow, 20% chance of rain. 86 Wednesday, 30% chance, just mainly in the morning. And then 88 Thursday, 90 Friday. It's going to be warm as we get into the weekend and partly cloudy both days, guys.
I know. I'm glad I enjoyed the nice weekend first.
Hey, did we hit 100 in May last year, or am I dreaming?
Justin?
Did we come close?
It is possible.
Yeah. I don't like those numbers.
We were close. Friday.
And of course, last year at this time, we were in the playoffs, or NBA was going on. Will they get ready to start again this Friday? We got an update for you on that coming up. And keeping the interest of sports during this pandemic, how they're working with that coming up. See, there you go. Just tennis racket, a ball, and a garage door. Good news for basketball and basketball fans. The NBA expecting to reopen a number of team practice facilities by this Friday. According to ESPN, these reopenings will be in areas with relaxed stay-at-home orders, which could happen here in Texas after the governor's press conference later on today. The NBA looking to find alternative arrangements for players in states with full quarantine orders so they can practice as well. However, restarting practice doesn't necessarily mean the season is going to start anytime soon. Hey, during the coronavirus pandemic, the U.S. Tennis Association, which is the national governing body for tennis in the U.S., has taken steps to keep athletes of all ages and abilities engaged by providing content. Some of that includes activities and drills designed to keep the tennis population playing remotely. KSAT 12 Sports' Jessica Hunt has some more for us.
Empty tennis courts are one of the byproducts of sheltering in place, but Net Generation, the youth brand of tennis for the USTA, launched its Tennis at Home programming last month to keep young players and their families active.
No court, no problem. So just because we're not playing tennis on court doesn't mean the game has to stop. You can learn the fundamentals at home. You can build a love of the game starting now that will carry you to the courts when we can go back.
The videos located on the Net Generation website provide tennis-related activities and tips in addition to educational programming.
Grip and try to get that ball to spin backwards.
Most importantly, the content can be streamed while practicing social distancing and from the comfort of home.
We want our families to stay safe. We want them to play together, and we really want to keep our world healthy and active during this time. If it's anything from balloon tennis to learning how to rally with just a ball and a racket by yourself, we're making sure that families have access to the game.
When playing at home, keep it safe, keep it simple, and have fun.
Traffic to the website has doubled during the quarantine as the content is providing an important and fun recreational outlet.
It is. It's very much an outlet. I mean, that's one thing we're talking about a lot for our athletes is not just plug in just one session a day. Can we make smaller sessions multiple times a day? Because there is an outlet, and is an outlet just to move around for 10 minutes and then go back behind your computer or play video games. I mean, a lot of our athletes are playing a lot of video games right now. And so to kind of get them constantly up and down, move around a little bit is going to be a little bit better for their bodies.
And we're working on keeping our core nice and strong.
Net Generation was already meeting players where they were before the pandemic and will continue to provide similar content after it subsides.
We have had a lot of these videos before it was stay at home, but I think more so now we're really looking to engage with those videos more and then also taking those as a stepping stone to what comes next.
That was Jessica Hunt. I like the balloon tennis because it doesn't go very far, so you have to chase it very far. You just reach it and
Yeah,
get
it's a little more relaxing.
Yeah, a little easier.
That little, the other exercise, almost like a plank, that looks kind of difficult. Yeah.
And after a while, well, that wears you out. Keeps those kids in shape, though. Hey, our at-home Fiesta came and went, but SA Live is reliving the magic today with an encore presentation of their SA Live Fiesta party.
Yay! You bring the cascarones, and they'll bring the fun. Also, great food is a huge part of Fiesta and a night in Old San Antonio. So while we look forward to November, Mike and Fiona are cooking up fajitas and making a signature Niosa cocktail.
Ooh.
How cute.
And one special parade we didn't see on the air over the weekend was the Pooch Parade, but SA Live made sure you didn't miss out. They put on a Pooch Parade of their own. All the dogs on the SA Live team